Well, we are now live everywhere. Everywhere we're live. We're live on TikTok, on YouTube, and Facebook, and Spreaker, and Twitter, and wherever. I mean, Twitch, and we're live. That's the good thing. And happy Friday to all you guys. Hopefully, you are having a beautiful, beautiful Friday. That's what I'm hoping, and that you're enjoying yourself. It's I tell you what, there's so much going on, and good, bad, or whatever, indifferent. There's a lot of stuff going on, but the beautiful thing is, it's Friday. It is Friday, and you guys know what that means. What that means is we are live on Paranormal Fridays. Paranormal Fridays. Very, very excited to be here. I really appreciate you guys, chilling out here with us and having a good time. We're gonna. Anything and everything is paranormal. Everything is paranormal today. And so there we go. We're going to have a good time. And keep in mind, we're also going to discuss a lot of cool stuff. We have a lot to cover this evening. But, one thing that we do talk about, we answer any questions that you guys might have. And keep in mind, there might be some questions that you have that perhaps in the paranormal that I may not know. And so maybe other people would, I don't know everything about the paranormal. I've been in the paranormal for a long, long time, but that doesn't mean that I know every single thing about the paranormal. I don't. But I do know quite a bit, obviously, about demonology and angelology and possession, because I've devoted my entire life to that. So that's obvious. But nonetheless, I do know quite a bit about the paranormal. I've been in for 35 years, investigated lots of places, lots of scary places, lots of dangerous places. But anyway, that's where we are. Okay. So we have a lot of questions here already. And keep in mind, I have studied demonology, since I was 9 years old. And I haven't stopped. Now, while people are asking me, did I have a parish? Yes, I had a parish. I was still serving as an exorcist, even while I had a parish. So that didn't stop. I was still actually I had a parish, and I was performing exorcisms while I had a parish in Louisville. So on top of that, it was a lot of work. Parish ministry is tough. Parish ministry is not easy. A lot of administration comes in with parish ministry, and it's kind of there's good and bad with it. But anyway, that's what it is. So we have a very, very cool show today, and I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for stopping by. Now, I am going to be giving a presentation this Sunday on a very, very cool organization, website that I think is really, really neat. It is near-death experiences. So if you don't know anything about near-death experiences, you can go to what's called University Magicus, magicus.com. And you can go to the calendar there, and it's this Friday. Unfortunately, there's no small URL to tell you where to go. You got to go University Magicus. That's where you go, .com, and you can pick up your tickets, and you can go check it out. It's going to be a very, very cool show. It's on near-death experiences. I've had the opportunity to speak to the world leading expert on near-death experiences. His name is Dr. Jeffrey Long. And he's no relation to me, but he is a medical doctor, and he has the world's largest documented cases on near-death experiences, and it's phenomenal. I mean, it's phenomenal. He's brilliant. So, but that's going to be this Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. Well, and thank you everybody for being here. I really do appreciate it. So let's get into some of the questions. Why is your hair green? Oh, Omak 60 is, why is my hair green? Well, there's a green screen behind me. You can kind of see there's a green screen. So that's why. That's what it is. I didn't want to just show you an ugly green screen, but it's interesting, which is sad. But on this camera, which is YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, it's not green at all. It's actually a pretty good green screen, but for some reason I have an older iPad, and that's what it is. Okay. let's get some questions, and then we're going to get into a lot of really cool news that I want to talk to you guys about in the paranormal. That really, really cool things going on. Someone is asking, Bishop, do I believe that poltergeist spirit is evil or just an angry spirit? Okay, that's a great question, John. I appreciate that. Let me just say something, because this is very important. There is a confusion with poltergeist. Now, I've had quite a few poltergeist cases, quite a few. Poltergeist means noisy ghost. That's what the actual definition is. Poltergeist is not a ghost. It has nothing to do with ghost. Poltergeist is negative energy. Now, I have had thousands of poltergeist cases through the years. I mean, again, I've been in paranormal for 35 years. I have investigated so many homes, I mean, from all over the United States. I have found through my research that poltergeist has nothing to do with a ghost. Nothing. Poltergeist is negative energy, and energy is physics. Every single one of us, we all have energy. We produce energy. Now, some produces negative energy, some positive. I've said this before. You're walking down the street, you don't know the person who's walking across the street, but you know you don't want to know them because they're emitting such negative energy. That's negative energy. Versus someone walks into a room, they don't have to say a word. Just their presence lights up the room. I mean, I've had this before. I've had that happen to me many, many times. Someone just walks in, it's like, okay, wow. That's positive energy. Poltergeist, it occurs when someone or individuals who are going through extreme emotional negative stress. That individual or individuals, they are emitting negative energy, which causes paranormal or poltergeist activity to occur in a home. Now, can a malevolent spirit attach to that energy? Most certainly. Yeah, of course. Can a demonic attach itself to that energy? It doesn't need to. Where a malevolence, here's why. A human spirit can only manifest so much energy. It takes a lot of energy to move something or push something. But with a malevolent spirit attaching itself to that negative energy, it amplifies the ability to be able to push and cause things to occur. In 100% of my cases that I have had in poltergeist, 100%, I'm telling you, it always, there is someone or individuals going through extreme emotional distress, and then the paranormal activity occurs. And by the way, the number one form of destruction with poltergeist is fire. That is the number one form of destruction. And again, I have a master's of education, and a master's of business. So for me, from accredited universities, not just push a button and you pay $60 now you have I actually from accredited universities. For me, data is important. You got to have the data to back up what you're saying. And the data that I collect from the cases that I have worked is overwhelming that fire is the number one destruction and poltergeist is caused by negative energy. That is what I absolutely can deduce from having the cases. No question at all. So what happens? And so what do you do? If you have a poltergeist case, how are you able to handle it? Well, first of all, you're going to have to find out which individual is going through a negative stress and how to reduce it by getting them therapy. Look, you could remove the person or persons who are emitting the negative energy. If you remove them from the home, then you might have residual energy, but that's it. Residual energy is very limited. You bring them right back in, it explodes all over again. And that's how it works. Okay, first time viewer of your show, great. Identify as a Christian, was curious, does the Catholic Church frown upon priests and bishops speaking out publicly about paranormal? No, actually, Android purity, it's interesting. Now, 20 years ago, it was taboo. 20 years ago, there wasn't a Catholic clergy speaking about the paranormal. I was here. I was present 20 years ago. So there was nobody in the there was no Catholic clergy helping the paranormal community 20 years ago. None. because I was here. I was a member of the paranormal community. As a matter of fact, that Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff, they didn't exist. We communicated through Yahoo groups. When I mean we, it's the paranormal community. That's how we talk to one another, through Yahoo groups. That was the only way. So I know who was in the paranormal community. I know the clergy. The only other clergy member was Father Andrew Calder. And he was a member of the Episcopalian group, not the main group. He was a schismatic group, but he was not a member of that. He didn't want to perform exorcisms. He was not called to perform an exorcism. He did not. He had no calling to serve as an exorcist performing exorcisms. Now he would take on demonic cases, but he did not have the calling to serve as an exorcist to perform exorcisms. So 20 years ago, I didn't want to go public with my ministry. I wanted to stay quiet. But I had a lot of friends in the paranormal, and they said, James, there's nobody helping the paranormal community. There's no Catholic clergy. We don't have anybody. So I decided to go public with my ministry to help people. That's how it started. So I was Bishop James Long, and this is well documented because I was there. I was the first Catholic clergy to go public to actually help and serve the paranormal community full time. And I've been doing it ever since. And as a matter of fact, that's how, which was interesting because it was so unique and rare. That's why all of a sudden the television networks just slammed me with requests, Ghost Adventures, the History Channel, Travel. I mean, I was slammed with requests to appear on television shows because there was no Catholic clergy doing this. So I was just pretty much kind of like, well, I'll help. I don't know how I'm going to help. I don't know how to do it because there's no book that guide me, but I just made myself available. And that's how I've been doing it ever since for 20 years. So, but I've been on 3 Ghost Adventure shows. I can't talk about it. I'm not allowed to because I'm under contract, but I will tell you that most of you know that I did recently go to Los Angeles and I did film for a television show. I can't go in any more than that, but it's going to be one hell of a show. I mean, it's going to be pretty amazing. And once we are allowed to discuss it, I will tell you all about it. But it's going to be pretty. I love it. It's amazing. It's a perfect concept, and that's all I can really say. I can't really say much more, unfortunately, but I can tell you that this is going to be phenomenal, and it's already been greenlit. So, which means that it's absolutely going to air on a network, but I can't obviously discuss which network. Okay. So anyway, there we are. All right. Tina, that's a good question. Tina Smith is asking, if you're watching a show and they mention a demon's name, can it summon it into your home? You're very welcome, Android. You're very welcome. Appreciate that. Many churches are refusing to help. You're right. This is why I never mention demonic names during the shows. That is a form of summoning. And you don't do this ever. There's no need for it. There's no purpose for it. The only reason to do that is sensationalism, to scare people and to give it credibility. When, as an exorcist, the only time I will ever speak of a demonic name is when I am performing an exorcism and I command the demon to give me its name. And that is because once you know its name, then you have control of the demonic. But there's no reason at all for me to mention a demonic entity's name live over air. There's no reason for that, because that is a form of summoning and you got to stay away from it. It's very dangerous and it should not be done. It just simply should not be done. And so that's why let's see. I think no, I don't know when it will air. Unfortunately, I can't tell you the network. I'm sorry. But once we're given the green lit, once we're told that we can start promoting it, believe me, you're going to know. They're going to. It's a pretty amazing show. You'll know. But Tina Smith asked that question. But it's the same thing as I do this. So Tina's watching the show. So if I say, "Hey, Tina Smith," now Tina immediately perks up and say, "Oh, he's talking to me." That is opening a form of communication between me and you. It's the same principle of when I mention a demonic name, I am summoning that demon, and a communication can occur. We just don't do it. We just don't do it. No, reading a demon's name, because as an exorcist, Brian is reading a demon's name the form of summoning. No, because I, as an exorcist, I have to read, obviously, the names of demonic entities, but I don't summon them by projecting that. I read it to understand it, not to project it to form of communication. Okay. Black Diamond. Black Diamond? Oh, I must have missed it. Well, there's a baseball hat on me now. And thank you for those of you who are on TikTok who are offering gifts. Thank you so much. I use that for clergy. I use that for ministry. I never charge. I have never charged in 20 years of my life for doing this ministry. Not one time. Not once have I charged. And I've traveled, I mean, God, I can't tell you how many miles I put on my car. I mean, I've traveled thousands of miles to people's homes, and not once have I, not once will I ever charge. Not once. And there's a reason for that. Number one, it's because I don't believe that you should, because when people are going through hell in their life, right, and they have a lot of activity occurring in their home, they're frightened. They're terrified. They are legitimately terrified. And a lot of times it might be parents, and they're afraid for the kids. I've had people tell me, Bishop Long, if you just get here, I will put a second mortgage on my home. Just get here. Now, a person who is evil and who is thoughtless and listen to the demonic would easily say, oh, okay, well, then $10,000, I'll go to you for $10,000. And some people are so desperate, they would find a way to give you $10,000. That is how scared they are. But for 20 years, anyone who works with me, if it's a paranormal team or a demonologist, I have a 0% tolerance. Never charge, ever, under any circumstances. And because you don't take advantage of someone during the most vulnerable, you don't take advantage of it, period. But you don't, especially in the most vulnerable state. That's just evil. That is evil. You don't do that. And because I think that once you justify, okay, $3,000, I'll come to your home. Then you'll start justifying $4,000. Then you'll start justifying $5 and $6 and $7 and $8. And then before you know it, you're doing this out of greed. And that's how the demonic will slip right on in. And you can't allow that. You just can't allow it. So there we go. Okay. Okay. No. And by the way, keep in mind, everybody, you thought I was going to keep in mind, everybody, I have 2 cameras that are being operated right now. Okay. I have a camera here and I have a camera here. And I also have people bombarding me with instant messages. So there's a lot of people asking questions. I promise you, you're not the only one. I promise you. And TikTok is going so fast. But please understand that it's not that I'm ignoring you. It's just because, a little busy right now, and that's okay. That's okay. But just don't get irritated because I can't do it. All right. Yeah, a lot of scared people. And hello to all you guys, by the way. Hello to all you guys. If I haven't said hello. And happy Friday. Happy Friday, wherever you are. I hope that you're having a good Friday, a safe Friday. And thank you so much for spending your Friday with us, your online family friends. Okay. And thank you very much. Can you summon a demon somehow? Yeah, you certainly can. Yeah, you can absolutely summon a demon. But don't. Why would you? I've seen people on TikTok do this, and that, folks, that is the most ignorant, idiotic thing you could possibly do. Why on earth would you summon a demon? Why? Yeah, some people think because you can be friends with them, or that you can control and ask them to do things for you. You're making a pact with the devil. Do you not understand that? That is the demonic entities are ancient spirit. They're not dumb. They weren't born yesterday. They're very, very conniving and pure evil. This is not fiction. And to summon this, because what happens is I'm the one that has to, or is expected to clean up the mess. That's what happens all the time. People will contact me and then they get angry with me because they say, well, Bishop Long, I'm in California or I'm in Texas and I played with the Ouija board and now all hell is breaking loose in my home. I'm having horrible activity, the smelling of sulfur, religious objects are desecrated. I hear bangings. I'm seeing shadows. You need to get here now. I'm like, I beg your pardon? What do you mean I need to get there now? And demanding as if they own me. Well, you need to get here right now. This is what you do, isn't it? So to get here, okay, well, my dad's not Donald Trump. So I don't have a private plane where I can just hop on and jump on over to you, sunshine. So first of all, and then I asked, well, what caused it in the first place? Well, I play with the Ouija board. Well, why the heck did you play with the Ouija board? So now you're mad at me because I can't spend $1,500 or $2,000 to get to you. And you yell at me because you decided to play with the Ouija board, which is ignorant. And now you have all hell breaking loose in your home. And now you're pissed off at me because I can't get into a private plane or any other plane because I can't afford $2,000 to get to you. And then you have the audacity to attack me. Oh, no. You better take an emotional inventory, sunshine, because this entitlement, no. Not today, Satan. See, that's what happens. That's what's happening a lot lately. And I mean a lot. I get cussed out. Cussed out. I get called every name in the book except for Bishop. Because someone plays with the Ouija board, they do something stupid, all hell breaks loose in their home, which sometimes that will happen. You play with the Ouija board because you want to experience it. Don't. But you do, and then all hell breaks loose in your house, and then you call an exorcist and demand that this exorcist comes to your home and fixes what you broke. It doesn't work that way. One, I don't perform exorcisms on command. That's number one. Number two, if you're going to contact me, you better be a little bit more respectful. Because you don't own my time, and I'm doing this for free, and I'm doing everything that I can to get to you. So to call me every other word in the name of the book besides Bishop, that ain't going to get you help. That's going to get you hung up on. People say, well, that's not very kind. Well, I'm not a punching bag. I'm not someone's punching bag. You're going to contact me and scream at me because you're the one who summoned the demon. Now you want me to come fix it up because, oh, God forbid, you have all hell breaking loose. Well, you shouldn't have played with the Ouija board. I'm just saying. I don't know. Yeah, you can. That's true. That is very true. If you want a slower chat, you can always go to KGRADB YouTube and make sure you subscribe too. Because the show is running on KGARDB. KG. Let me go slower. KGRADB. And that's on YouTube. And so anyway, there you go. You can always go there and chat with us. And there we are. Okay. Have you seen stuff like the Exorcist movie? Oh yes. Yeah. KGRADB. I have. And oh, by the way, I appreciate that. By the way, make sure you go to the website, KGRADB. Don't forget that. Because if you do, it's KGRADB.com. So write it down. And I'll answer the question about the Exorcist in a minute. KGRAD as in dog, DB.com. Make sure you go there and subscribe. There are some amazing shows there. I mean, tremendous shows. But here's the secret. When you sign up, use the promo code BISHOP. Because if you do that, you get 30% off your subscription. It's already affordable as it is. But 30% off, it's even better. But you got to go to KGRADB.com. So if one of the moderators there could put that in there, I would appreciate that. KGRADB as in boy.com. And yep, I type in Bishop for the promo code, and that'll save you a lot of money, 30% off. Okay, someone was asking, and again, please understand, because people are getting mad and sending me private messages already on Facebook, and one person just cussed me out. Folks, there's a lot of people asking questions, a lot of people. So I can only get to one question at a time. So please be patient. You got to be patient. I promise you. When I answer a question, I like to give it thought. I like to give it, because you asked the question. So I'm going to respect the person who asked the question by giving a thoughtful answer, not just yes or no answer. Okay. So please, just you can repeat the question. It's okay. But just please understand, there's a lot of people. I literally was just called a pretty nasty name by someone on instant messenger on Facebook because they asked a question once and I couldn't get to it. This entitlement. Gosh, this entitlement. The Exorcist. Someone was asking on TikTok about The Exorcist. I was at The Exorcist house on Exorcism Live on the Travel Channel. It was a huge production in 2015, and this was massive. This was a live production. And I was at the actual Exorcist house in St. Louis because the family asked me to perform the minor rite of exorcism there. And the reason is they did that. The reason is I did the show because the wife was pregnant, and she did not want to bring this child into this home without a priest coming in and blessing it. So they contacted me and they said, look, this is what she wants. Would you be willing to do it? Yes. Now, the minor rite of exorcism takes some time. I can't do this like this. It takes about an hour or so, hour and a half to complete it. And I told the producers then, I said, listen, I understand you can't do it. You can't show an hour and a half because the show is not that long. I get it. But after the show is over, I want everyone to stay out of my way and let me continue the minor rite of exorcism, because I know everybody's going to want to tear down the set, and I get it. But I am not there to pretend or be an actor. So once I start the minor rite of exorcism, you must allow me to complete it. And they said they would. So at the end of the show, they said, okay, cut. We're off air. Everybody, congratulations. And the producer said, everyone stay away from Bishop Long. Do not interfere. He needs to complete the minor rite of exorcism. And they did, and they allowed me to do that. And I respect the heck out of that. I really do. So the Exorcist movie, the pea soup does occur, the regurgitation, and the regurgitation violently does occur. And the reason is the demonic does not want substance of life to enter the body. So it will regurgitate violently. That's why a person could dehydrate quite easily during an exorcism. So that does occur. Now, obviously the rotation of the head, obviously not, but the contortion of the body, levitation can occur. Markings does appear on the body when you're using holy water. I have personally witnessed this. I have seen a sort of levitation to where the body was in a V shape, a very weird V shape, contorted, very strange visual. I still, even to this day, that was odd how that occurred. Eyes will go black. So these things, the smell of sulfur, there will be temperature change in the room, hot versus cold. So many things, the vocalization does occur. So that does occur. So there are some things in The Exorcist that's based on valid truth, and there's some things obviously that's make believe. Okay. So yes, the regurgitation does occur. Let's say Ost guy, 1965. Is any of this actually caught on video? Every exorcism that I have performed, I performed 30 exorcisms. They're all recorded for legal reasons, because the person could expire. And so for legal reasons, they are recorded, but I have a team that is a medical team that's there monitoring the vitals of the possessed, because I'm not trained in the medical field. I don't know if someone's having a heart attack or stroke. I mean, I can take a pulse, but that's about I'm focused on the rite. Is it recorded? Yes. Would I ever share it with anybody? Hell no. No way. And anybody who does should be ashamed of themselves. Ashamed. This is not entertainment. This is not something you do to get everybody's jollies and say, oh, isn't this fun for a Friday night? That is an abomination. This is a very sacred ritual that is between that person and God. And anybody, I am highly offended when anybody posts the videos on air of people who are possessed and allegedly go through possession and exorcism. Because what if it was your family? What if it was your family member who was possessed? And then this dirty, rotten, low-life, egg-sucking liar dog pretending to be an exorcist then records it and then puts it all over everywhere just so that they can become famous and they can get a lot of money and get payment. And now your family member has to relive all of that all over again when they go through YouTube and now they see themselves on camera. That's an abomination. That is an abomination. It's disgusting. It is disturbing. It's wrong. It's unethical. It is immoral to every single. I have been offered my own television show at $20,000 an episode with a guaranteed of 10 episodes. And then if it was picked up for season 2 and season 3, I would be given an executive producer role. That means I'd be paid a lot more if I just perform an exorcism on camera with somebody. And I told those producers where they could go. That to me is that is spitting in the face of God. And I find it disgusting, disturbing. I find it just unbelievably, that is the lowest that someone could go, because people want to, and I understand people are interested. They're curious. This is a sacred right. This is not entertainment hour. There are some lines that just simply should not be crossed. And when you cross those lines, that's when we really have a problem in society. When people think it's okay to sit there and watch an exorcism, it's not. There's nothing okay about it. That is sacred. Some people just, they want to water down everything sacred now for entertainment value, and it irritates me. No. So to answer your question, I appreciate it. There's no chance in hell I would ever air an exorcism. Now, I have had an incubus case, one of the most violent incubus cases I've ever worked, and I grew to love the family very much. And she was an elderly woman who suffered from a very violent incubus case. And Angie, her daughter, I did have her on my show. She talked about the case. She talked about what her mother endured. She talked about, us helping and answering her call and just being there for her. So I don't have a problem if someone that I have helped wants to talk about their experiences, but I will never force them. I would never go to them and say, hey, look, maybe we should do this and make a buck off of it. That'll never happen. I never have, never will. Never will. Okay. There we go. I wonder if you, let's see. I wonder if you ever watch a recorded exorcism. Can the exorcised demon affect you through the video? Okay, that's a good question. Yeah, and John Sterney is asking, have I seen the movie The Rite with Anthony Hopkins? Actually, I have, and I've also spoken to Father Gary Thomas, who the movie is after. It's after his life. It's created after his life. And so I've had the opportunity to speak to Father Gary a couple of times, and it was a blessing to speak to him. He was a very, very gracious individual. So, but yes, I have seen. And John, I would say, if you want to see what an exorcist goes through, what an exorcist deals with, what we struggle with, then the movie The Rite is the best movie you'll ever see, because it gives you a glimpse through our eyes. It gives you an idea of what we deal with as exorcists. And I thought it was very well done, incredibly well done. Now, someone was asking, shouldn't it be illegal? Yeah, it should be, illegal, like extortion, airing exorcisms. I wonder if you watch recorded exorcism, can the exorcised demon affect you through the video. Okay, first of all, understand that the exorcised demon has been defeated. So when the demonic leaves the body, the intellect and will of the demonic is now at a very battered state. Now, we believe as theologians that this demonic is immediately cast into hell for eternal damnation, torment, and suffer. That's why the demonic never wants to leave, because the demonic knows that if it gets defeated, it knows the end result. So we believe that ultimately, once the demonic is expelled, then it is under torture for eternity. And because the demonic then gives up its right to that body and surrenders to the power of Christ. And once it surrenders to the power of Christ, the condemnation occurs. So, but it's a good question. All right. Loving God enough to get to heaven. Well, I mean, if you love God, that's what you need to do. That's the main goal. Loving God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind. Remember, Jesus said, these are the most powerful, the most important commandments. You love your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and you love your neighbor as yourself. Because when you love your neighbor as yourself, then you are loving God, because God dwells within all of us. We are created in the image of God. Okay? All right. There we go. Well, aren't they already in eternal torment? No, they've already been judged. They've already been condemned. But demonic entities are released by Satan, because remember, Satan controls these demonic. They are released and given permission to attack an individual. They are then defeated in battle when the priest or the exorcist stands in persona Christi. And now that demonic entity then surrenders to the power of Christ. The torment that it suffers while in hell is eternal. So, good question. These are great theological questions. I love theology. And so, and demonology is something that I'm very, very passionate about. Okay. So, yeah. Have you seen the documentary, The Devil and Father Amorth? I know Father Amorth. I knew Father Amorth. And so I'm familiar with it. And, he was, there's a lot of people who had issues, I guess, with this theology, because he believed that possession occurred so often. I haven't found that. At least that's from my perspective. From his perspective, possession occurs extensively. I haven't found possession. I've been doing this for 20 years, and I've performed 30 exorcisms, and I get thousands and thousands of requests every single week from people all over the world to help. So, I mean, now I have, let me check the emails. I have 6,432 emails since Monday. So, see, 6,430, and that is that there's 6,000. You can see it, and that is just on my email. That's the email, for people to help, for requesting help. That's not including the 12,000 messages on TikTok, and I don't know how many messages on Facebook, 800, I don't know. So there's people all over the United States requesting help, and I try to go through as many as I can. Obviously, I have not found that possession has increased. I haven't seen it, because remember, there are thousands of cases here, thousands, and I performed 30 documented exorcisms, the people who are actually validly possessed. Now, I have performed thousands of home blessings. I have found that there is an increase in demonic attachment. That is something that I have found that has increased. Now, let me explain this, because this is important, and I'll get to your oh yeah, a demon can absolutely attack a priest. Absolutely. Let me say something, because this is important. Demonic attachment. There's a deliverance. There's a big difference between a deliverance and an exorcism. They are not the same thing. And people get them confused. And, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that, Justin. Thank you. People get them confused. And here's why. A deliverance is when a demonic entity will attach itself to you, and you are now under the stage of what is called oppression. The demonic is oppressing you. It's trying to break down the intellect and will, trying to break you down for possession. A deliverance prayer is prayed over you by a minister or an exorcist to remove that demonic entity from the attachment. In those cases, the demonic can detach itself from you and attack another person. Possession, when that occurs, the demonic has already now claimed you as the victim. And the purpose is it has already broken down your intellect and will. Now, again, I get the questions, but hold on, everybody, because this is important, so I got to explain this. What the demonic is doing is breaking down the intellect and will. So it's breaking down the will of the body. In other words, it will start biting you, scratching you, pinching you. It will start affecting your sleep pattern to the point of complete and total exhaustion. We're beyond tired, total exhaustion. And it will continue that. It is actually causing your immune system to be suppressed. You are at a very weakened state, a very vulnerable state. You can't fight anymore. At the same time, then you have what's called demonic obsession. Demonic obsession is when the demonic entity begins to interact with you. So it will talk to you, speak with you. You will actually hear its voice. And it will mimic schizophrenia. And in matter of fact, you even think that you might have schizophrenia, and you start isolating yourself from the very people that love you and care about you. You completely isolate yourself. So what it's doing is it's breaking down the intellect and will. Once the intellect and will is eradicated and the body can no longer fight, then you have what is called possession. When the demonic enters the body and possesses the body, it does not possess the soul. That's very important to understand. The soul belongs to God, unless the individual, in fact, has made a deal with the devil and has sold their soul to the devil, to Satan, and rejected God. That's called a mortal sin. Now, the body is at a weakened state. You have possession. Then an exorcist will come in and perform the exorcism to force the entity to leave the body and to surrender to Christ. That is completely a million-mile difference between a deliverance and an exorcism. Okay? So there you go. Hopefully that helps you out. Sorry, I just, when people ask me questions, I kind of think I want to be able to explain it logically and give you a respectful answer. Okay. Will a demon communicate with you when you're asleep through a demon? Oh, certainly. Certainly. Yeah. The question Ashley is asking, will a demon communicate with you when you're asleep through a dream? Certainly it can. Absolutely. But and as a matter of fact, that happens, Ashley, that happens quite often in incubus and succubus cases. And I have worked quite a few incubus succubus cases, and they are violent. They are really violent cases. And it will start out as pleasurable, but then it becomes aggressive. And incubus and succubus is a demonic entity that will attack you on a sexual nature. And it will start out as not as aggressive, and then you invite that activity to continue. And then it becomes intrusive. And it gets so intrusive that it's no longer happening just when you're sleeping. It's actually happening when you're awake and you're fully aware. And then you, in the name of Christ, I command you to stop. Once that moment occurs, the demonic then presents itself to you, its true identity, because now you know you're rebuking it, and then you have all hell breaks loose. Yeah, I as a matter of fact, as I mentioned, I had a horrible incubus case, terrible incubus case. Well, I'm not going to tell you how to sell your soul to Satan. That's something that I'm obviously not going to do. But that would be really, really stupid to do. There's nothing that Satan is going to give you but eternal damnation. That is the only thing that Satan is going to offer you, is eternal damnation. And I'm very sorry that you said you had COVID. Somebody said they had COVID. I'm very sorry. That's not correct. Schizophrenia, the person said, well, then you have schizophrenia. Okay, I can understand. First of all, let me just say this, because this is important. Someone on TikTok said, well, then you have schizophrenia. Listen to me very carefully. I have had many people tell me, command, perform an exorcism, I'm possessed. And I tell them this, what Father Gary Thomas, I don't perform exorcisms on command because there's a process that you have to go through. I am incredibly skeptical, very skeptical, and I have to be, because I don't walk into every single case thinking, oh, that's a demon, because it's not. It's not. It's absurd to even think that. I tried to debunk everything. When I work with a team, Draven's in here. I think Draven's in here. He's studying to be a religious demonologist, and he has a team, a paranormal team, and they do great work. And he's going to work with the church. So is Deacon Tommy. When a team goes out, I really want them to do everything they can to debunk the activity. That's the goal. Walk in with the idea, I'm going to debunk. If things go bump in the night, I'm going to explain why. I'm going to give you a logical explanation. I'm not going to just believe it because I'm going to explain it. That's the goal. I only get involved with cases after they have exhausted every logical explanation. When they walk into someone's home and they can't explain things. I can't explain why that TV just flung off the entertainment center. I can't explain. When it gets to that level, that's when I get involved. And I'm not there to investigate. I'm there because the demonologists have already done their job. The team has already done their job. We already know what we're dealing with. And people say, well, possession, it's all mental illness. No, it's not. Mental illness does not cause you to levitate. Mental illness does not cause markings to appear on your body after the exorcist uses holy water on that particular body. Mental illness does not cause the person to mimic a deceased loved one's relative. That's not mental illness. Mental illness does not cause the possessed to speak in a language that they have no knowledge of. You see, so the idea that it's all mental illness is simply invalid, because these are the things that I have seen and I have witnessed. I have witnessed firsthand. And I've told you guys in the very beginning, I don't charge one penny, not one penny for my services. Never have, never will. So there's no ulterior motive. I mean, I can understand if I was charging $5,000 or $6,000, for an exorcism, then people could say, that's your motive right there. It's money. Well, you can't use that against me. You can't use that. You can't say, well, Bishop Long's only performing an exorcism because he charges people. No, you can't use that against me because I've never charged. And I performed thousands of home blessings and never once have I charged one penny. So you can't use that. I'm not doing this to make a buck because I don't charge anything. Matter of fact, I spend my own money. I charge nothing. So there's no ulterior motive that I have other than to help the family who are terrified. That's why I do it. Okay? Yeah. So it is traumatic. Yeah, it is traumatic. It's very, very. And hello. Have you used regular water to see if a demon person will react to it? Not the holy water. I have. Let me just say this. There are things that an exorcist will do. So here's the deal. So now the team has already investigated. The religious demonologist has already presented all the evidence. This person is suffering from possession. There's a difference between full possession and transient possession. Transient possession is when the demonic will enter the body and leave at will, attacking the body, constantly attacking. Full possession is when a person is in a constant stage of possession. That's very dangerous. Both are dangerous. But when you're in full possession, there's no relief. So when I get to a home and someone is under, let's say, transient possession, there are things that I will do that the person has. I don't make it known. I don't say, okay, and I'm getting this holy water out, I'm getting this rosary out. But there are things that I am doing quietly that nobody knows, because I am provoking the entity, the demonic, to manifest itself, to force itself to obviously for the possession. If the person does not go into possession, then I don't perform the exorcism, because there's no possession. There's no demonic that's present to perform an exorcism on. So I force the entity to manifest. The person enters transient possession. Then the exorcism continues. And that's how I do this. All right. And by the way, someone says, well, I know Keith and Carl. Yeah, great guys. Someone asked me, well, isn't it just mental illness? No, because mental illness has nothing to do. It's called retrocognition. A person who's mentally ill does not have that ability. A person who's mentally ill does not have prognostication. What does that mean? Retrocognition means that the demonic, an exorcist, we will actually receive the sacrament of reconciliation, confession, before we perform the exorcism. The reason being is that the sins are removed, and it has to be, because the demonic will know what the sins that you have committed. That's why you have confession prior to performing the exorcism. That's retrocognition, is when the demonic will know your sins and will actually mentioning them. That's why we go to confession, so the demonic cannot have that as a tool. Prognostication is the ability to have knowledge about other people that you know and that they don't know, but they're able to tell you. So let's say I'm celibate. And so obviously I don't have a partner. I'm not married, obviously. And as a celibate man, let's say that there's an exorcist who let's say they're married. They go in and they perform an exorcism. The demonic, let's say their wife cheated on them a month ago. The demonic will know this and say, oh, have you and your wife figured it out yet? Or your wife is cheating on you with the mailman or whatever. That is called prognostication. That's not mental illness. So there are things that are absolute evident with the absolute clarity that this individual is suffering from possession. Okay, so appreciate the questions, and thank you guys so much for the questions. I do appreciate them. I'm trying to answer as many as I can because they're quick, and that's okay. That's okay. But I want to answer as many questions as I possibly can, and then we kind of get going. Oh yes, Barb from YouTube is asking, can a person? That's a good question. Barb is asking, can a person who has been exorcised be possessed again later on? Barb R, let me tell you something. Absolutely, positively, 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. Here's what an exorcist has to do, and this is important. An exorcist has to determine what caused the possession in the first place. That's necessary, because we need to know if there was, or what was the invitation. If there was an invitation, how did it start? What did the person do? We have to know this, because if we don't, then the person could easily, once God, hopefully in blessing and everything is great and the person is freed from the demonic, but once that freedom occurs and that detachment occurs, that person can go right back to doing something that they shouldn't have done, and the invitation can happen all over again. So we have to know what has caused the possession in the first place. There's always a cause. There's always a reason. And a lot of times people will either do things that they shouldn't have done, participate in black magic, play around with Ouija boards, maybe if you're paranormal investigating. Let me just say this, because I know a lot of you may have or may be paranormal investigators. Please understand, when you go out to a place, and even if you're not, let's say you've never investigated before, you just want to do it. You just want to experience it. The moment you go out and you say, is there anyone here? Can you make a noise? Can you do something? You have now invited whatever is present, that what it needs to make communication with you. That is opening up something you never said, you never said, hey, demon, I want you to come do this to me. Some people, believe it or not, do. Idiotic. But the moment you say, is there anyone here? Can you make a noise? Can you touch me? Can you push me? That is the invitation. Something so simple. And that's where you can get in some trouble, because that's invitation. Now, keep in mind, Marco says, oh, crap, I didn't know that. Keep in mind, there's a big difference between provoking and inviting. Listen to me carefully. And I told Zach this, and I'm friends with Zach, and I've told him this many times. Provoking is not beating your chest and saying, I'm King Kong. I dare you to do something, demon. I dare you to do something. I'm going to knock you out. You didn't provoke. What you just did is invite. That's a big difference. Provoking is when you enter a demonic entity in the presence and you begin prayer. Now you're provoking. The moment I dare you to do something, you've done nothing. And I've said this a million times. If you're beating your chest, I dare you to do something. The demonic is snickering right there in your face. Inches of your face. And the demonic is, I'm going to do something. I'll definitely do something. When you're lonely and you're depressed and your wife leaves you, your husband leaves you, you lose your job, your dog dies. That's when I'm going to invite back. And the demonic will. And so you've got to understand the difference between provoking and inviting. Okay. So, because it is scary. It's scary stuff. Just stay away from it. All ghosts are not demons. Nope. Let me make this very, very clear, because there's a lot of people who will say that all demons are ghosts. That is not true. That is absolutely not true. And I'll tell you why. Because Scripture says so. This idea that all ghosts are demons, it's not scriptural. You guys know this, do you? I mean, you may not. You may not know it. Many of you may be the first time you've tuned in. But this argument, this belief that all ghosts are demons is incorrect. It's not theological. It's not scriptural. Actually, I can tell you with proof that, in fact, all ghosts are not demons, and it's even in the Bible. If you look at Luke chapter 24, verse 36 through 51. Look it up. Luke chapter 24, verse 36 through 51. For those of you who don't know, Jesus' disciples were talking about what had happened. He'd just been crucified. And they were huddled in a room. They were terrified. And they were frightened. And then they were frightened and terrified because they thought they were seeing a ghost. Scripture. But Jesus said, why are you so frightened? Why do you doubt? Look at my hands and feet and see who I am. Touch me. Find out for yourselves. He said, ghosts don't have flesh and bones as you see I have. So what does that mean? Jesus, if ghosts don't exist, Jesus would have said, guys, don't be stupid. Ghosts don't exist. That's not what he said. He said ghosts don't have flesh. They don't have bones, which means that they must have something else, which is spirit, a spirit form. So even Jesus himself acknowledged that ghosts exist. Because if ghosts did not exist, number one, if ghosts did not exist, the disciples wouldn't have thought he was a ghost. The disciples would have thought he was a demon. And people say, well, they meant demon. That's not what it says in the translation. In the Hebrew or Greek, it's very clear that it is ghost. It is not demon. That is not the Greek translation. Furthermore, it says Mark chapter 14, verse 26. Mark chapter 14, verse 26. Remember when Jesus was walking on water? So it says, during the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went out to them walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified. And what did they say? It's a ghost. They didn't say it's a demon. They said it's a ghost. And they said and cried out in fear, but Jesus spoke at once, take courage. It is I. Don't be afraid. Not once did Jesus say, oh, come on, for heaven's sakes. Ghosts don't exist. How many times have I told you? He never said that. He acknowledged that they had a concept of ghost, and he also acknowledged that he wasn't one. So therefore, scripture, now a lot of people I don't know why they're not preaching this, but all ghosts are not demons. That is not scripture. So there we go. Okay. That's my little ghost and a demonic. How can you tell the difference? Ellen Rogers asked, ghost and a demonic, how can you tell the difference? Well, and that's a great question, because paranormal investigators, or just even in your home, okay, if you have first of all, let me just make this clear. If you have a demonic infestation in your home, you're going to know. You will know. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Because number one, you will have loud bangings will occur, often in bangings in three, as a form of mocking of the Trinity. There will be scratches that sometimes appear on the wall. You will have desecration of religious objects will occur. They will occur. You will have smell of the sulfur. And again, that's a mockery of Revelation, because Revelation speaks about at the end of the age when demonic entities and Satan, they're all expelled. They're all cast down, obviously, for eternity, that they will be thrown to the lake of sulfur. And so that's why sulfur is often associated with demonic entities. So, or horrible rotten flesh. It's a terrible smell, but you can smell that. Animals are terrified. They're spooked. So when you have a demonic infestation, you don't, with all due respect, you don't need a psychic medium to tell you. I mean, it's pretty obvious. It's overwhelming, the sensation. Now, both can appear as shadow people. I've seen demonic entities will appear as shadows, and also human spirits. Now, I have found this, and this is what I have discovered. And this is all, I can only tell you what I've experienced. But when a demonic entity can mimic a human apparition, they can mimic that often. But quite often, actually, I would say in almost every single case that I have had, when it's demonic, there will always be something, a flaw. Also, there will be in the vision. No, you can't see the eyes. There are no eyes. Furthermore, when it's mimicking the voice of a deceased loved one, and it's a demonic, and it will say, hey John, or hey Mary, or hey Aunt, or whatever it might say. It's close, but there's a flaw. You can hear the flaw. It's not perfect. A human spirit, that means you no harm, will not, that's a positive energy. They're not omitting negative energy. Remember, it's all energy. So demonic entity omits negative energy. You're going to feel it. There's no there's no question about it. Whereas a human spirit that is present, you're not going to feel threatened. However, you got to be careful. Don't communicate with people. Do this, and this is a big mistake. Do not investigate your home. Don't do that. And the reason you don't want to do it is because that is how the demonic can easily manipulate. For example, I've had, I can't tell you how many cases, oh my gosh, where the homeowners would listen. They thought they had a kid, a spirit of a child in their home. And the kid would laugh, and they would hear laughter, and they thought, well, that's so sad. So the mom decided that, she really wanted to find out. She wanted to kind of find out who this kid is, because, and to comfort the kid. So she began interacting, doing Ouija board sessions, doing all kinds of things to try to communicate with what she thought as a child. Well, this was not a child. This individual, this mother, had played with a Ouija board and did some things she shouldn't have done when she was younger. And the demonic waited very patiently until her wedding was, her marriage was on rocky ground, and the demonic took advantage of that. And it was on rocky ground because she was barren; she could not have children, and so that's why the demonic appeared as a child. It was using that against her, and before she knew it, she didn't know she was interacting with a demon. She thought she was interacting with a child that had passed on, but the demonic used that against her to manipulate her into thinking that she was speaking with a child, an innocent child. And then all hell broke loose in her home. I mean, it was one of the most violent cases I have ever worked of demonic infestation. And I mean, when I tell you it was violent, the demonic was attacking her relentlessly. I mean, it was just unbelievable. Unbelievable. It was a very violent case. Yeah, very, 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 very violent. Okay. So, yeah, unfortunately, it's one of those things that does happen, and I don't know, people do it, and I wish they wouldn't, but they do. And when you do that, you can find yourself in some serious trouble. Very, very serious. Protection. Bad Brett's asking on TikTok, what do you recommend for protection? Well, one thing that I do is I always recommend the St. Michael prayer. So call upon. And people say, why don't you just call upon God? Well, you do. You call upon God. You call upon St. Michael as well. St. Michaels are here to serve. Remember, our angels are here to serve and protect us. So you need to call upon St. Michael. And you can do the prayer. St. Michael, the archangel, defend us in battle, be our protection against the malice and snares of the devil. There's a short form prayer. There's a long form prayer. And you can Google St. Michael prayer short form. And I pray that in every case that I work. In every case that I go in and when I walk out, I always pray the St. Michael prayer, always. And of course, yeah, you're right. Call upon your guardian angel. But remember, as I've said a million times, your guardian angel will not help you, and they cannot help you unless you give them permission to. So you got to give them permission to help. Otherwise, they can't help. And by the way, I do want to say something very quickly. For those of you who are here, remember, don't forget, please go to my website, and we're not finished, bishopjameslong.com. bishopjameslong.com. I do have a store that is available. Make sure you don't buy the old Benedictine bracelet because that's on way back order. Probably won't get it until March or so. But there is a new bracelet that's there that's available. You have 4 different faces you can choose from. There's other items there. That is how I fund my ministry. And that's the only way I can do it. So you can go to bishopjameslong.com. Click on the store link, purchase your items. You can also go to bishopjameslong.com and just simply scroll down, and you can make whatever donation you want to the ministry. I have homeless ministry, single moms ministry, and I bless homes. And so it's pretty active. And so I do it 100% free, and I can't do it without you guys. I just simply can't. It's just not possible. We're very low in our funding right now. I can't really help too many people because I can't get to people's homes. So again, bishopjameslong.com. That is the website. Okay. And thank you. And for those of you who offered gifts on TikTok, thank you very much for doing that. I appreciate that. And again, now Chris Blakenshine just called me a scam. Okay. Well, Chris, if I don't charge, and I've never have charged, and I spend my own money on this, then you tell me how I'm scamming. See, this is what people don't understand is there is called ordinary demonic activity, and there's extraordinary demonic activity. What Chris in TikTok just did is he fell under ordinary demonic activity. That's when the demonic will manipulate you, will begin to tell you horrible and evil things and try to convince you or move you or steer you in a way to where you judge people, you condemn people, you're very hateful. Or if you have, you suffer from lust or greed or whatever it might be, it will amplify that. And what Chris unfortunately just did, without him obviously being aware, is that he fell into what is called ordinary demonic activity. He's listening to evil rather than listening to God, which is a shame. Okay. Tell you a scary story. Well, yeah, I have quite a few scary stories, and we certainly, we certainly have quite a few for that. By the way, I've been doing that, guys. I've been doing this for 20 years now. I've been in the paranormal for 35. I've been investigated pretty much by every network. And the show that I just aired, I mean, they really did investigation, and they should. But listen to this. This is a strange story. Well, thank you, Diane, and I appreciate you, Diane Fraser and One Eagle. You guys, thank you so much. Listen to this. Here's a weird story. This is from And I'm Alien. It says here on December 29th, 2021, in a small town in Texas, a strange natural phenomenon happened. And this is a true story, guys. It was on the news. Fish began to fall from the sky. The fish rain lasted for several minutes, and a small fish fell from above along with ordinary rainwater. It happened around 4:30. Could you imagine? 4:30 p.m., according to James Ardish of Oramax, a used car showroom. And he says that he and his colleague, Brad, heard a strange loud noises. And when they jumped out into the street, they saw fish falling from the sky and loudly splashing to the ground. They actually have pictures of holding up these fish. He said there was a loud rumble of thunder. And when we opened the door, I looked out and it was raining very hard and the fish hit the ground. He said, I said, it's raining fish. And Brad said, no, that's not true. But I replied, no, it really is. And yes, there were fish falling all over the place. This is insane. I don't understand this. So, well, actually, I do have an explanation for this. A small fish could be seen scattered throughout the car's dealership parking lot, as well as lying on the nearest road and near the tire store next door. The fish was 10 to 13 centimeters long and belonged to the species of perch. And they're very small. Many other inhabitants of this small town also witnessed the rain of fish and were bewildered by this. The most pragmatic people collected the fish in buckets to use as pet food or as bait when fishing. Hey, when it rains fish, it is believed that this is the first recorded case of such rain in the city and in the entire state of Texas. In the entire history, several such phenomena have been noted. Okay, so how can it rain fish? Well, here is the actual answer. Again, there's a logical explanation for most things. According to science, fish rain is considered a completely natural phenomenon, albeit it's rare. It is assumed that this happens when a strong tornado moves above the water and sucks in living creatures like fish or frogs or other things from it, and then it drops these creatures into another area. This theory, however, is constantly criticized because, and it's true, it is logically, when you think about it, and I'll explain in a minute, it is criticized because it is difficult to explain how the tornado manages to capture only certain species of fish or frogs without capturing other marine life at the same time. Also, here's another thing that people say, now, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Because we know that if something gets swirled up in a tornado and it's cycling so quickly that most things are ripped apart. So if you actually got sucked up into a tornado, your limbs would literally be ripped apart. So how is it that these fish remain intact? Fully intact and not ripped apart? It's a very good question, and it's something that a lot of people really can't answer, but it's fair. It's fair enough. I think it's a very fair question. Okay, and they are small. They're very the fish were small, but it is. I've heard the theory of rain spouts, but I don't know. What are you going to do? By the way, those of you who like scary horror themed things, and I would imagine most of you do, listen to this. Well, thank you, Jason. Appreciate that. Thank you. Listen to this, guys. A horror themed circus gets scary with zombies, vampires, and a barking, bitey dog boy. You heard me right. This is in Fort Myers News Press is reporting this. It says here, sure, circus clowns give people the creeps, but this circus has more than just clowns to make people scream in their seats. And this is the name of it, folks. When Paranormal Cirque, C-I-R-Q-U-E, or Cirque, or however you pronounce it, C-I-R-Q-U-E. So when Paranormal Cirque opens in South Fort Myers, by the way, on January the 20th. So if you're in Florida, you'll find an entire big top full of monsters and murderers, a barking, bloody dog boy in a cage, zombie trapeze artists that get a little bitey, a demon-possessed woman, that's not a smart thing to do, demon-possessed woman hanging from her hair 40 to 50 feet above the audience, and lots more. Well, okay, that's interesting. Leave the kids at home for this one. The R-rated. Okay, so please note, this is R-rated. The R-rated circus is filled with adult language, sexual jokes, racy costumes, and lots of blood, gore, and general creepiness. Quote, it feels like you're living inside a horror movie, says contortionist Ben Holland, who plays the dog boy. It's not suitable for the kids, but for adults. It's a lot of fun, he says. Now, the horror theme show follows last summer prison-focused Cirque Alcatraz in Fort Myers. Now, both shows are aimed at all mature audiences and staged by Sarasota Traveling Circus. And adult circuses are common in Europe, but they're just now catching on into the United States, Holland says. It's a new and interesting and cool thing, and people are obviously love the thing. Paranormal Cirque. Now, again, folks, this is all horror themed. And I just want to make sure that you understand that this is adult rated. Okay, so by the way, as the dog boy, Holland sits in a cage wearing a collar and covered in blood Sometimes he barks, runs up to people, and tries to bite them. He also twists his arms and legs in all sorts of crazy pretzel shapes. He's a contortionist, after all. I don't know. So anyway, if you want to go, it's Paranormal Cirque. I don't know how to say that, Cirque. Cirque. It's 7:30 p.m. Thursday and Friday, January 20th through the 21st. There's a 6:30 and 9:30 show on Saturday and January 22nd, and 5:30 and 8:30. And there's a Sunday as well on the 23rd. Where is it? JetBlue Park. And that's at 11,500 Fenway South Drive, South Fort Myers. And tickets go from $10 to $50. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I don't know. I first of all, I can't imagine him going around trying to bite people. Only because now it's because of COVID. So I would imagine that's not occurring, or at least it should not occur. If it does, that's just stupid. Very stupid. Okay, so yeah, I appreciate you guys very, very much. Go to bishopjameslong.com, bishopjameslong.com. And if you want to make a donation to the ministry, just scroll down and you can make whatever donation that you want. I do appreciate that. Also, don't forget that right after this show, my good buddy, Andrea Perrin. Andrea is going to be coming on at our wonderful, wonderful website. If you guys going to, it's KGRADB. KGRADB. You can go check that out on YouTube, and you can watch her show. You can go to kgradb.com and make sure you check that out. And don't forget, sign up, KGRADB. Don't forget to sign up there, guys, and use the promo code BISHOP, kgradb.com. Use the promo code BISHOP, and you get 30% off. 30% off. And so her show's coming up very, very soon at the 9 o'clock hour, 9 p.m. Eastern. Andrea, for those of you who don't know, I love her. She's a sweetheart of a soul. She's a friend of mine. I am honored to call her my friend. She was one of the children of The Conjuring. So you guys know the movie, The Conjuring. You guys know the story. Well, she actually lived in the Conjuring house. And she radiates light. She radiates so much energy, so much positive energy. And she does a great show, fantastic show. And she's going to be on next. So make sure, please do yourself a favor. Make sure that you check her out. And thank you so much for the gifts on TikTok. I do appreciate Shannon Long 30. Let me ask Shannon Long 30, are you going to go live tonight right after the show here? So yeah. Why you say being a narcissist is possessed? Okay, yeah, you're not going to. What do you mean? What's the question? Why are you saying being a narcissist is possessed, doing ordinary demonic activities? I'm not really understanding your question. So yeah, if you could help me out understand that, I'd appreciate that. Okay. Well, Andrea, she's just great. She's just great. So yeah, make sure everybody, a lot of you are watching on TikTok. Make sure you definitely go over to the website. Again, it's a great website. They're fantastic. KGRADB.com. KGRADB.com. And you can, of course, go check that out also on YouTube. But Andrea comes on at 9, and she does a great show. Great show. Oh, yeah, demons are certainly narcissists. No question about that. By the way, for those of you who have Netflix, HBO, Amazon Prime, Hulu, well, there's going to be some shows coming out in January. Some of them you got to check out. They've been pretty cool, actually. Some of these shows are really interesting. Others are not so much great. I don't know, but this was Allegra Frank wrote this, and she did a great job. And every month, tons of new TVs and shows become available to stream for United States subscribers in Netflix, HBO, Amazon Prime, Hulu. But keep in mind, some of these titles are, they say, on Netflix, a must-watch. So if you have Netflix, this is what they're saying you got to watch. Stand By Me, Taxi Driver, and Phantom Thread. That's when they say you have to watch that. It's coming out to Netflix. Stand By Me, Taxi Driver, Phantom Thread. Good watch, they say, is 1BR, Big Fish, Braveheart, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Gremlins, Hell or High Water, I Love You, Man, The Lost Boys, classic, Midnight in Paris, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, The Town, True Grit, 2010 version, and The Wedding Singer. So, and of course, they have some also some other ones that you want to check out. So, but they definitely said check out those. No question about it. They are really, really excited about that. HBO Max, if you guys have HBO Max, they're saying you coming out in January, you got to watch 2001: A Space Odyssey, Blade Runner, The Final Cut, Blade Runner, The Final Cut, Casablanca, Citizen Kane, Dog Day Afternoon, Gone with the Wind. You know, I have not watched Gone with the Wind. Can you believe it? I've never seen it. I've never seen Gone with the Wind. The Maltese Falcon and Singing in the Rain. They say you got to check those. Absolutely, it's on HBO Max coming out. Oh, okay, that's fair enough. I mean, there's HBO has some really, really cool. HBO Max has some really, really cool shows. Prime Video, they're saying you got to watch Beast of the Southern Wild once and Saving Private Ryan. Saving Private Ryan is pretty amazing. Now, Hulu, there are some very cool shows coming out in Hulu. Must watch. They say Devil in a Blue Dress, The King of Comedy, Once Upon a Time in the West, and Sense and Sensibility. Well, I don't know. I haven't watched any of those. Isn't that terrible? So anyway, that's just a few little shows you want to check out. You can check them out, or you can say, nope, doesn't matter to me. Okay. Yeah. So it's like, what are you going to do? All right. Yeah, we've already talked about narcissism and demonic. Yeah, Gone with the Wind. I'm going to have to. Oh, by the way, okay, I purchased these. Okay, I walk a lot. I walk daily if I can. You know, if it's raining outside, I can't. And I walk every single. I do. I love walking. But I bought a pair of gloves because my hands get cold. I don't like my hands getting cold when I'm obviously walking. These are supposed to be O0 gloves. O0. And here they are. These are these gloves, and they're supposed to be good for minus 40 degrees. Sorry, it went blank, but here they are. They're minus 40 degrees. Man, let me tell you something. I walked outside. Today was like it was 37, not minus. It was 37 degrees. I was freezing. I had to quit. Matter of fact, I had to go back in and get my old pair of gloves, which don't work anymore. They're very old, because I thought these gloves were supposed to be the best. They are O0 gloves. That's what they're named, O0. They're supposed to be good for minus 40. It was 37 today, and my hands were freezing. So O0, you're going to have to explain this one, okay? Because minus 40 degrees, no. They were not even close to minus 40. Not even close. Minus 40 here is different from where you are. That's true. It was only 37 degrees, and that's still chilly in Kentucky. But I literally, my hands were freezing. And it's O0. That's the name. But the wind chill, the wind chill was probably 30, something like that. So the wind chill was not minus 40. And they were freezing. Yeah, they get a 0, literally. Let me ask you, do you guys know any good pair of gloves? I mean, really good, that will keep your hands warm. I hate walking, and then my hands get freezing cold, and then I have to stop walking. That's very frustrating, because I'm listening to my Elvis, and he's tearing it up, and yeah, I'm like, yeah, this is great, and I'm walking, and then my hands get cold. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. So it's very frustrating. So hot paws, really? I'm going to have to check the hot paws. I've never heard of hot, but hey, I'll try anything as far as the gloves, because I am just furious. Hot paws. Okay, I'm going to take a screenshot of that. They're not very expensive. Nobis, Nobis. Sorry, guys. I know this has nothing to do with the show, but this is important because I've got to keep my weight and I've got to keep walking. And today I really was very, very frustrating. Nobis, they're baby gloves. Are you kidding? What is Nobis? No, come on. Wear mittens. No. Yeah, hand warmers at Ace. Yeah, you can get hand warmers, but I don't want to have my gloves with hand warmers. It's a lot. I want a really good pair of gloves that actually work. Okay. You're gonna legit advice needed. Okay, what kind of advice do you? I try to walk about 2 to 3 miles, and then I walk usually twice a day. So that's what I try to do. All right. Let's see. Yeah, if you had a question, some gloves have batteries. That's true. That is true. It was pretty cool. I mean, some of the gloves actually, and I saw some of those, and those are pretty neat. Ski gloves. Well, these are supposed to be skis. These are supposed to be ski gloves. -40. They're supposed to be good down for -40. So yeah, terrible. Okay. Yeah, I will give you a blessing. And by the way, I appreciate Happy Muscle Guys. Well, I'm jealous because you have muscle. You're going to have to tell me the secret, but you asked to join. Regrettably, I can't bring you guys on, and I'm so sorry for that. The reason being is because I have 2 different cameras on. I have YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and Twitch, and then you guys here on TikTok. So unfortunately, if I speak to you guys, they won't be able to hear or see. So I apologize. I wish I could. Okay. Do you get electrocuted with battery gloves? That's a good question. That's a very, very good question. I don't know. I it is. Okay. By the way, let's see. This is interesting. Have you heard of this? Have you heard of this story? A man, and then I'll ask. We have plenty of time. I'll get your questions. I promise you. I'm doing great after the surgery. By the way, for those of you who are asking, I had the gastric bypass surgery in the end of September, and it was a kind of a rough go. After I had the surgery, I had some struggles, stomach pain, and things of this nature. I thought the gallbladder was going bad, but you know. It was a tough surgery. You know, it wasn't easy, but I am so blessed. I would do it over again if I had to. Now, if you ask me, would I do it over again a week after the surgery? I would have said, heck no. And I actually did say no. But now that I have been several months out, I've lost 60 pounds, which I feel great. I feel great. I am blessed. That's why I look a little different. Obviously, it's not filters, it's because I've lost weight. And for those of you who have weight problems, I've always had weight. I've always been big. But let me give you. And again, well, that's a good question. I actually started at 420 pounds. When I did Exorcism Live on the Travel Channel, I was 420 pounds. I was dying. I was in trouble. Because when I get stressed, when I get happy, when I get lonely, when I get whatever it is, being an exorcist and living an exorcist life, there are challenges with that. And then, I'm a celibate man. And so on top of, being an exorcist. And so, there can be stress. Being celibate is not stressful. Being celibate is a calling. Either you're called to be celibate or you're not. I am called to be celibate. And so that is just something I'm at peace with. I've devoted my literally entire life to the church, to the ministry, and to helping people. I've devoted my entire life to that. And there's nothing wrong with marriage, but for me, God has called me to serve a celibate exorcist. And so my weaknesses, my issues have always been going to sweets. Always going to sweets. Chocolate, if I get stressed, happy, bored, whatever, going to sweets. And so if any of you if any of you are struggling with weight and you've thought about the surgery, let me give you a little advice. In 2015, I actually had the gastric sleeve surgery. Now, I didn't want the sleeve. I wanted the bypass. But at that time, the surgeon said, hey, the sleeve will work just as good. And I told him, my problem has never been overeating. I have never sat down and gorged ever in my life. I have never once sat down and ate a full pizza, ever. I don't even know what that would be like. That was never my problem. My problem was sweets. So when I see like 600-Pound Life, that story, that show, and I see them just stuffing their face with pie, with pizza, and I'm thinking that's nasty. That's gross, because I never did that. But sweets, yes, I did. I got full on sweets, not full on protein. And I told them that. And the gastric sleeve, they take 80% of your stomach, they remove it from your body, and they leave 20%. And I was told that your stomach could never stretch out. Well, that's not true. Your stomach can stretch out. And that's exactly what happened, because the sweets cause weight gain caused the stomach stretching, and so it failed. And then I went to another surgeon. God love him, Dr. Allen, love him. He's wonderful. He's in Louisville, Kentucky. He's a hell of a surgeon. As a matter of fact, I love Dr. Allen, and I'll tell you why. Dr. Allen is a pilot, and he also is very loyal, and he goes out to pick up animals that are abused or neglected, and he'll take them to shelters or people who want to adopt. Dr. Allen is amazing. He's a saint. He's a beautiful, beautiful human being. And he did my surgery. He said, okay, James, yeah, I'll fix it. We'll definitely do the bypass. So he did the bypass. The gastric sleeve is for people who overeat. If your problem is overeating and you don't really have a sweet tooth, the gastric sleeve is wonderful. It is wonderful. But it's not good for you. That's not the surgery to have, in my opinion, as a person who's had both. If you have a problem with sweets and addiction to sweets, the gastric sleeve will not work, because it doesn't address that. It does not address that problem. With the gastric sleeve, you can have as much sweets as you want, as much sugar as you want, and it will do nothing. The gastric bypass, let me just say something. Let me say something. If I have two little tiny bitty peppermint candies, I'm giving birth. I'm in extreme pain. The gastric bypass, you have too much sweet, it will, no, you won't do it again. That's why the gastric bypass works for people who are addicted to sweets. And that's what I would do if I were you. If you're addicted to sweets and you have a weight problem, the bypass, yes, it is a more serious surgery, but go to a surgeon that is good, that is solid, that has a great reputation, that knows what they're doing. You'll be fine. You'll be just fine. And let's see. Now I want a gastric sleeve and eat all the and eat all the sweets. Don't do it. If you have a weight problem, and if you're addicted to sweets, it won't work for you. It won't. Okay. Can you please tell us about the barley? Something you mentioned, Prince of Persia. I don't know what the question is. Prince of Persia. What about? Yeah, so Panda is asking, can you please tell us about the barley mentioned, Prince of Persia, Prince of Greece? I'm not really for sure. Sorry to repeat. When you get a moment, my sister passed. I was told she had not passed. Okay. Somber Stone Forever. I'm going to stop the show. Somber Stone Forever. No, I'm sorry. No, not that. I'm sorry. Annabelle 6905. Annabelle 6905 said, when you get a moment, my sister passed. I was told she had not passed. Annabelle 6905. Annabelle 6905 on TikTok. I apologize. Just indulge me for a moment. Can you please tell me who told you that she did not cross over? Who told you that? So Annabelle 6905, I'm just curious, who told you that a psychic? There is a place in hell for people who do and say that type of bullshit. Now, when people who claim to be psychic and they have the audacity to sit there and tell another person who just lost a loved one that their loved one is not passed over, let me make this clear to those people who do this. You will go straight to hell. And when you do, God is going to look you in the eye and say, I know you not, and cast you down with the dirty, rotten, low-life, egg-sucking dog demons, and you will suffer the same emotional stress and pain that you have caused this human being when you told them that your sister hasn't passed over. Who the hell do you think you are? You're not God. You don't have any right to tell someone that their loved one has not passed over. Who the hell do you think you are? You dirty, rotten, low-life, egg-sucking dog. Does that piss me off? You better believe it pisses me off, because that person, this person here who just asked this question, Annabelle, so she overdosed. I'm so sorry. I'll never do it again. I'm sorry. Thank you. No, Annabelle, you don't apologize. You don't apologize. There is nothing. No one has a right to say at all who has passed over and who is not, because you're psychic. And the bullshit term of psychic, no, the only reason you said, let me tell you something, Annabelle, the only reason that this dirty, rotten, low-life, egg-sucking scum told you that is because they want to charge you more money. That's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to scam you out of more money to tell you, but I can help them cross them over. I can help them cross them over. You got to pay another $150. Boy, I tell you what, if I was not a priest, ooh, I better calm down. That just it makes me mad. That you might as well just come over here and slap me right upside my head, because that infuriates me. As a priest, I see this all the time. I see people claiming to be psychic mediums, and then they have the nerve. They have the audacity to tell one of their family members that your loved one hasn't crossed over. But if you offer more sessions, you'll have to book more sessions and I can help them. Oh, boy. Annabelle, what is your sister's name? It was a free reading. Of course it's a free reading, because what they do is it's a free reading, and then that's how they hook you. They give you this free bullcrap reading, and then they tell you, but I can help them if you book some sessions. Oh, really? Can you, princess? Can you really? Boy, they are going to burn in the fiery flames of hell. Oh, that makes me mad. That makes me mad. Annabelle, I want to know what your sister's name is. Her name is Melody. Well, let me tell you something, Annabelle. I'm going to ask you a couple questions. And here's the question that I don't give a rat's ass about any more paranormal question. I don't give a rat's ass. With all due respect, I'm dealing with something that's more important than asking whether or not a ghost or spirit exists. Annabelle, I'm asking you, did your sister Melody, did she believe in Jesus Christ? Well, good sauce, I'm not ignoring you. I'm dealing with something else. And if you don't like it, then get the hell out of here. So let me ask you again. Annabelle, can you tell me? Okay, she exists. She believed in Jesus Christ. Let me tell you something, Annabelle. Your sister, Melody, is sleeping peacefully with Christ. And anybody who says otherwise, then I really would not want to be them during the time when they are judged by God. When a person commits suicide, they are not thinking rationally. It is an irrational thought. In order for something to be a sin, you must know that the act is evil. You must commit that act in a rational state of mind. Someone who commits suicide, they are not thinking rationally. In their minds, they are thinking that committing suicide is justifiable. It's better for the family. Person has cancer, for example. I don't want to put my family through that. I don't want to make my family suffer. I don't want to make them see me. Then they do something that they shouldn't do. But they are not thinking rationally. Your sister, Annabelle, as God is my witness, she's in the arms of our Lord Jesus Christ. And she's at peace. And anybody who tells you otherwise, you stay away from them. And if the psychic or medium or whatever the hell they're going to call themselves today is watching this, shame on you. Shame on you. I believe that there are people who are gifted. I believe this. I believe there are people who do have that ability. But anybody who tells another person that their family is struggling and they haven't crossed over, put yourself in their shoes. Now, what can they do with that? What can they do with this? This is exactly what Leviticus and Deuteronomy was speaking about. This is the part where it says going to soothsayers and psychic mediums consult. This is what was going on when Deuteronomy was written. There were frauds, liars, con artists. They were going around telling their family members, well, in order for your family member to be loved by these other gods, because they had multiple gods, that you would have to give money to each god. And you have to get, and it was extortion. And they said, if you don't give money to each god, then the God of rain is going to punish your loved one for eternity. So it was an extortion. That's what it was. What a lot of psychics, the fraudsters do is they will give you a free reading. And then the whole point of that is it's a fish and bait kind of thing. They tell you something like that your loved one is not in heaven, but don't worry. Don't worry. Because you can book a session with me and I can help them. Now, you better get your ass to church and ask for forgiveness. That's what you better do. That's what you better get on your knees and you better go to God and say, I am so sorry that I'm ripping this person off who's already in an emotional state of grief and I'm taking advantage of this person because I want to make a buck in my Lord Jesus, this is heaven. I'm telling you, we're about to have church. It bothers me so much when people are manipulated. I get angry. And people say, well, that's not very bishop. Jesus Christ himself, God himself got angry. So don't sit there and judge me. I'm angry when I see people being manipulated at a time in their life when they are under extreme emotional pain. And then these psychic mediums go around and they purposely prey on these individuals, and they're doing it on purpose because they know what they're doing. And they take advantage of these people because these people are in an emotional state. They're in the grieving stage. So instead of trying to help them, they're taking advantage of them. That irritates me. When I see people taking advantage of at the lowest point of life, that really makes me mad. I mean, that you can call me whatever you want to in the book, and people have. But when I see things like that occur, I really get irritated. And I don't apologize for anybody because of it. Because when I see people taken advantage of like that, I call it out. I call it out for the bullcrap that it is. And it is. It's a con game. It's nothing but a con game. They know it, and so do I. I've been in the paranormal for 35 years. I've seen them all. I've seen them all. I've seen the con men. I've seen the liars. I've seen the deceivers. I've seen people who have no idea what a demon, they don't even know how to spell demonology. And the next day they call themselves a demonologist. I've seen it. I've witnessed this in the paranormal. They wouldn't even know how to spell angel. And then all of a sudden they're an exorcist. Give me a break. I've seen this type of stuff happen in the paranormal. I've been in it for 35 years. I've seen all the craziness. I'm telling you, it's not right. You don't do that. You don't mess with people when they are in the stage of grief and you prey on those people. That is evil. That is the lowest form. Anybody who does that, you better repent, because you don't know. You don't know. In 5 seconds from now, you could drop dead of a heart attack and you have to face God the Almighty. And I promise you, you think I'm angry. You think I am angry? Well, you stand before the creator of all things, the Alpha and the Omega, and then he shows you a film of all the people that you've conned during their stage of grief, and you think you're going to squeeze your way in heaven? Okay. Ridiculous. Annabelle, your sister is in heaven. And I will dedicate Mass tomorrow. I have Mass every day. And I will dedicate Mass for her. I will pray for her. And may the perpetual light of Jesus shine upon Melody and grant her eternal rest. Amen. That is what the psychic should have done. But I will dedicate Mass to her tomorrow. Okay. I will dedicate Mass to her, and I will ask even my community to pray for her. There's people here watching right now that's praying for Melody. I believe in prayers, and I have no doubt in my mind that the moment she passed over, I have no doubt that Christ was right there and he embraced her. And the words he probably said, I believe that he said to her, is welcome home. That is what I believe. I firmly believe that. Your sister's in heaven. Okay. Oh, man. Whew. But I want to say again, I do believe there are people who have gifts. And I absolutely am convinced of that. But I also believe there's a lot of scammers. There's a lot of scammers. Yeah, and one of I talked to a friend of mine who is gifted, and he always said that when someone loses a loved one, he'll offer one reading for them, and that's it. He will not do a continual thing, because what will happen is when you're in the stage of grief, it becomes a stage of denial. And so you go to this person who claims to be a psychic medium, and they become almost so attached to that psychic medium that what happens is the psychic mediums will then use that pain and suffering to keep tagging them along, to keep steering them and say, oh yeah, but we can keep doing this. She's lost, and they keep doing it. And then it's always a cliffhanger, but I have the answer. So it's very frustrating. So most people who are genuine will not mess with that, and they shouldn't. They should not. All right, absolutely appreciate that. Okay, or they jump from psychic to psychic. Yeah, that's a good point, Tracy. Or they jump from psychic to psychic, and that's true. And there are some people that do, because they're just so desperate for answers, and I understand. And that's why it's important when people are when they're in a stage of grief. You got to be careful with that. You've got to be very careful. And every word you say to them that could be the difference between them getting over that grief or them going deeper into grief. You got to be very, very careful. That's why when we did pastoral counseling, when we learned that in the seminary we had most of the time, honestly, because I do hospital chaplaincy, and when a family loses a loved one, most of the time, I'm not saying a word. I am there just listening and comforting. That's what I'm normally 80% of the time. I'm just listening and just showing comfort to them, either by holding them or hugging them or holding their hand or just being present. And that's what I have found is the best way to help somebody, the best way. Yeah. I want to also, don't forget, everybody, a couple things before we hang the show. Yeah. Again, I'm not going to apologize for getting angry. I get angry when I see things like this, when people take advantage of it. That really bothers me. It really, really bothers me. And I don't like it. Don't like it. Always show love and compassion to people. That's what you have to do. Love and compassion to people. And don't ever take advantage of anybody. Life is hard enough. We're all fellow travelers to the grave. Now, in life, you can choose to trip people on their way on that journey and watch them fall, or you can help them up. Jesse Jackson said this, and it's one of the greatest quotes I've ever heard in my life. The only time, and this is how I live my life, and I'm not perfect, but I try to strive for this every time. And Jesse Jackson said, the only time you ever look down upon anyone is when you are bending over to pick them up. Amen to that. Again, don't forget to go to kgradb.com. Make sure you sign up. Use the promo code BISHOP, kgradb.com. Go to that website, 30% off. Use the code BISHOP, and you'll certainly get that. For those of you who are listening on Spreaker, I wish you well. I'm going to say goodbye to you guys. And for those of you who are listening on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and Twitch and wherever else, I want to thank you guys so much for choosing to stay here with us. You actually, I tell you what, it's an honor that you've chosen here. So thank you. Thank you. I do sincerely appreciate all of you guys choosing to spend this Friday night with us. Do something good for yourself. You know, I always tell people, and I'm going to tell you this again, your value does not decrease based on someone's inability or refusal to see your worth. You are priceless, and never let anybody convince you otherwise. Good night, Facebook. The Sacred Division has been brought to you by Bishop Long's online paranormal course. Learn demonology, angelology, paranormal studies, and genealogy. It's 100% online, and you learn at your own pace. Please go to www.bishopjameslong.com and click on the paranormal course link.